On tonight's show, I give a full breakdown on two powerful sounding metal albums, freshly squeezed and reviewed. Will they make it into my collection? You'll find out here on the show that answers the main metalhead question: where can I get more metal music? Terry here again with Cast Metal and another full metal review segment. If you like the stuff that is here on this complete list, FMR is for you. I review and break down the newest extreme releases of the week from my charts and get them to you daily. And stay to the end, because today I'll give you another extreme metal album from my own collection just to say thanks for hanging out with me today. So, a recap: during episode 33, I reviewed two albums. So I reviewed Stages of Decomposition's Raptures of Psychopathy. I hope I got that right. And Static X's new album, Project Regeneration Volume 2. And it was perhaps one of the most funnest nights of listening to brand new music I've had in quite a while. I added both of them to my library right in there with a bullet. Check out the last episode for the full breakdown. And today, our first album up for review is... this is Lord Dying's Clandestine Trancendence. Okay, so let's start our first FMR, everybody. Before I listened to the album, I opened the page to see that there were 12 strong-sounding tracks totaling 59 huge minutes. That's a lot of art on one album, a lot of music. The album cover artwork, as you can see, it's a beautiful combination of dark earth tones and browns. The description here, it looks to be somewhat like a skull-shaped castle. It's deep and it's very, very dark. And my first impression has me visualizing something heavy, although I can't say for sure. And although it's categorized as metal in Apple Music, I know that they don't offer all the categories that we metalheads use, so I predict the genre to be somewhere in the prog or death metal range right now at this particular moment, but I'll reveal what their actual genre is after I've listened to the album at the end of the show and compare it to their actual bio to see if I was on point. So, individual track descriptions, here we go. Track 1, it opens softly as if to begin a story and then rolls into a rich, deep prog metal sound with nice rhythms and harmonies all the way through. While track 2 has intense, powerful, and tight-sounding harmonies. It's a very unique sound so far. And I believe it's in the prog metal range, somewhere in that area. But this band right now is very unique at this point. Track 3, it's rangy, smooth, nice, heavy overtones all the way through. Next, track 4 is extremely rich with musicality and a fast pace. Nice solo work from the guitars. There's no sign of anything in the death metal area, which I kind of thought might be present here, but there's nothing like that here, at least yet, throughout track 4. Track 5, it's actually a funkier, progressive number. It's very smart, soothing, and soulful, and there's super nice solos. The instrumentalists, like the artists in here, the guitar players, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to go right off topic here, right off the storyline here, and I'm going to tell you that this band is immensely talented all the way through. Okay. Then we go to track 6, and it switches to rangy rhythms and harmonies, and again, very smooth, but yet very deep. Next, track 7, it's a sorrowful instrumental string piece. It's relaxing. It's only about 2 minutes long. While track 8 is just rolling and harmonious and rangy with such beautiful, again, solo guitar work. And then track 9, it seems psychedelic yet bright with rangy passages of harmonies. And finally, track 10 is a soft, crisp, and rolling number. Now, of course, I only review 10 songs. So the rest will be up to you should you decide to download this and give it a try for yourself. So I have a brief summary, and it goes a little like this. Laugh if you will, but the singer often reminds me, not all the time, but often reminds me of David Bowie. Okay? You can take that with a grain of salt, or you can laugh in the comments section. That's fine too. But I'm getting this from time to time, this David Bowie tone coming out of the singer, and it's really quite nice. The album itself was difficult for me to describe, but it was very appealing, smartly arranged, and very full sounding. The recording and sound quality, it was professional. It was buttery smooth all the way through. Production and musicality was refined and very smart. There's that word smart again. The energy and intensity, it was in the medium kind of area. It was just a mellower album than I thought, that the album cover would suggest. So we'll go with that. The lyrical theme here is it's lost. The lyrics, they feel like it's a lost journey, and it's also painful. Becoming a mainstream act here is definitely possible. But they do sound somewhere in that, that range. I even got hints of, they reminded me of Deep Purple in the 70s. If that makes any sense. Deep Purple from the 70s. I'm getting little wee hints of that in this album. So yeah, I would say that going mainstream is definitely a possibility. The range flow and layout of the album is rangy. It seemed a little scattered. The tracks are arranged awkwardly, and that's not a deal breaker or anything, but they remind me of a lighter version of Opeth. If anyone out there is familiar with Opeth, well, that's kind of what they sound like. ChatGPT describes these guys in similarities to bands like Paul Bearer, High on Fire, YOB, and Chemist. That's Khemmis, Chemist. Bands I've not heard of. So as far as performances, I describe the vocals as deep and sorrowful, while the guitars I can only describe as masterful and very bright. The bass section was deep and meaningful. It was a great foundation for everything to be, the bass was an excellent foundation for all of the music to be laid upon. The drums and percussion performance, it was tight and full, and there were no sounds or samples or sound bites or anything. It was just all the artists, and that's it, just their instruments. And the general feeling I had during this particular album was it was more relaxing, which led me to give this album a medium dark tonality shade in the overall color. Colors could only be described as gray, like clouds when it's about to rain. So we're going to go with gray. Lastly, I rated the temperature as warm to cool, and a seismic reading a little on the lower side of 5.4 because it was a fairly mellow album, surprisingly enough. I'm thinking that I would probably enjoy this while driving on a Sunday. I'll go with approximately with that feel. So in summary, my predictions from earlier were absolutely bunk. I couldn't pinpoint anything, but I did say my personal official genre description would be prog metal. And when I looked at the official bio, they call this sludge metal. And I've heard the term before, but I'm going to say that this is my first experience with sludge. And it means that I was in no way, shape, or form any kind of winner here. So my favorite tracks, well, they were all quite equally good. And finally, I decided, to be very frank with you, I'm going to add it to my library for a second listen, but I'm not sure if I'm sold. So, all right, so that's it for album number 1. Our next album up for review is a band called Master. Now, so their new album is called Saints Dispelled, and before I listen to the album, I open the page and I see that there are 8 very interesting sounding tracks totaling 37 minutes. The album cover artwork, as you can see, is very artistic, depicting a tortured being in a range of earth tone browns with Gothic fonts, and of course the band master with their custom logo font, and so on and so forth. My first impression, it has me visualizing something in the gore range, gory, heavy, beastly. And although it's categorized as death and black metal and Apple, I know they do not offer the categories we use, so I predict the genre to be death metal with either melodic or symphonic elements. We'll go with that. That's how I feel right now. I'll reveal what I think, what the actual genre is, after I listen to the album at the end of the show and compare it to their actual bio to see if I was on point. So track number 1, it opens strong, bold, and thrashing. It's a combination of rangy and consistent harmonies, fiery vocals, very strong guitar solo work. Track 2 is good speed, energy, and a good simplistic sound. Nice screaming solo work, again, all the way through with the guitars. Then track 3, it's a rangy, strong death metal track with intense guitar work and strong percussions. Next, track 4, it's punchy, crisp, and razor sharp with blazing harmonies and excellent rhythms. Track 5, it rolls heavy with attacking guitar work and strong, consistent tone. Track 6 opens with a tremendous bass line. I love that bass line, by the way. Then it smashes open with nice, deep, speedy, crushing death metal tones. And I would say that track number 6 would probably be a favorite. Track 7, it's a tight, furiously paced metal banger with huge range and really great undulating guitar work. Track 8, the final track, is solid, fast, fiery, and rangy with superb guitar solo work, and it moves at a relentless pace. Track 8 was also very good too. Recording and sound quality was clean, clear, and very smooth. On the conservative side, it was not a very loud recording, but quite clear, while production and musicality was more raw than refined. The energy and intensity was on the higher side. Rhythm and tempo was rangy and varied, and the lyrical theme here is doom and gloom. Becoming a mainstream act here, it's no way, shape, or form going to be a possibility. So for all of you fans of Master out there, it's not going to happen. They will not be on the radio. I think that you will enjoy hearing that one. Range, flow, and layout of the album, it's consistent, and the tracks are arranged with care. They remind me a little bit of Celtic Frost. And sometimes there's confusion whether it's Celtic or Celtic, but I'll go with Celtic Frost, okay? All the way back from the 80s. Now, ChatGPT says they sound like Deathstrike, Autopsy, Obituary, and Possessed. And I guess I would have to agree because I've heard most of those bands as well. And yeah, I think ChatGPT was right on today too. So as far as individual performances, I describe rather the vocals as it's all attitude with strong fry vocal performance, while the guitars I can only describe as brilliant, bright, and sharp with powerfully low rhythms and excellent solos. Bass section, a very, very solid foundation laid out for everything this band is that they do. It's groovy and big. Finally, the drums and percussion performance was tight, full with solid snap and solid crash, and there were just no elements of samples or sound effects or sound bites. It's just raw instruments all the way through from this band, okay? General feeling I had during this was I was just smiling all the way through it. It led me to give this album a darker tonality shade, sorry. I'm tongue-tied a little wee bit. Darker tonality shade, and the overall color or colors could only be described as red for Redline, okay? Because this band is pretty fast. Thrashy, actually. Last, I rated the temperature as on the hotter side and a good seismic reading of 6.7 on the Richter scale. And in summary, my predictions from earlier were, well, somewhat there. I revealed that the genre is death metal, and when I looked at the bio, it says that it's death and thrash, which does make sense because they're pretty fast. And my favorite tracks were 6 and 8. And finally, I've decided, to be very frank with you, not to add it to my library. It has a great, clean sounding recording. It has immense workmanship. You can tell that they took pride in this album. And they have everything going for them. And I know there's a broad fan base for this particular sound, but I've decided to pass, at least on this album from Master. But don't take my word for it. Try Master's new album, Saints Dispelled, for yourself. It was still a great pleasure to review them. And that is just about it for our review. So I dug into my treasure chest and pulled out Thrones Extended Pain EP from 2022 just for you. Something a little wee bit energetic for you, just as a little thank you for hanging out with me today. I sure do appreciate it. And that's it for today, my friends. Remember to support your favorite metal artists, stream them, engage them on social, buy the merch, see them live, and join me again soon for another episode of FMR. And finally, please hit that subscribe button and set up your notifications because metal music matters. I'm out here to try and help them. So you can get your album recommendation first, set up those notifications. And thank you so much for coming in tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.